Hello. Okay, guys, we are live. So, hey everyone, I'm Viraj Jain, your mentor at GeeksforGeeks, and in this video, we are going to talk about the next part of VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Okay, so guys, in the last video, we basically created a VPC, we created subnets, and we also created an instance in one of our subnets. This was the previous day's work. Okay, so you can watch the previous video. The playlist is available in this channel. Now today guys, what we are going to do is we are going to move further. We are going to understand what's the purpose of internet gateway and route tables, and how we can just give internet access to these friends here. Okay, so basically we created instance into one of our subnets, right? Let me just show you. And there was a problem which we faced, that is our instance didn't have any internet connection. Why? Because this VPC overall doesn't have the internet connection. Let me just show you. If I go to AWS, okay, I'll just log back in. Right. Okay, guys. So here you would see that we created an EC2 instance yesterday. Okay, which instance? Let me just go here, instances, and I think my inst1 was instance. Let me just check the date. Okay, so yesterday's date was 29th. Yes, this one. Okay, this one we created, this one yesterday, right? This one and the last one also was created yesterday. Okay, anyways, yeah, we created some of these yesterday. Let me just check which one is connected to our VPC. Let me just go to the VPC. Okay, or else yeah, we can just check out the subnets also. So let me just check this one. I think it was inst4. Let me just check this one. So this inst4 is basically having this IP, and let me just go to security and okay, networking, and here we have subnet. Okay, SN1, right? So this specific, suppose this inst4, this instance is connected to subnet 1. Okay, subnet 1. If I just go to inst4 instance number 4, if I go to connect, if I click on connect, okay, so you can see that it's something like this. Okay, and if I click on connect, you can see that it is trying to connect, but it's trying to connect only. It's not connected, right? The problem is that this instance was connected to a subnet, right? Which subnet? inst4, this is inst4. This was connected to which subnet? You can just go here and you can just check out. This is connected to SN1, that means subnet number 1. This subnet number 1, let me just open this subnet, is inside which VPC? It's inside one of our VPC which we created yesterday. That means we have a subnet, we have this subnet, okay, this specific subnet. Inside this, suppose we have a instance inst4. That means this subnet is having the instance. Okay, this subnet is a room. Inside that we are having an EC2 instance. Our backend is running inside this room. Now this room is into a house, right? Inside an house. That house is our VPC. Now tell me one thing, if the house doesn't have electricity connection or water connection, will any of the rooms will get internet connection or electricity connection? Okay, I'm not talking about all of the rooms. Some rooms might be individually connected, some might have internet connection, some might not have internet connection, some might have electricity connection, some might not have electricity connection. But overall, as a house, first of all, the house must be having an internet connection or electricity connection, right? Then after that we can think about the room number 1 has internet connection, the room number 2 does not have internet connection. That's our choice. Subnet has an internet connection or not an internet connection, that's our choice. But at least our house, that's the VPC, must have the internet connection. Okay, so that's where IGW comes. Okay, IGW, that means internet gateway. In simple words, internet gateway is just like a wire which connects internet to your VPC. Okay, very simple, right? So you can say that in AWS, IGW stands for internet gateway, and internet gateway is a horizontally scaled, redundant and highly available VPC component that allows communication between your instances and other things which are available in your subnet to the internet, right? That's what is the purpose of internet gateway. It's like a gateway to internet, okay? Gateway to success, gateway to internet, okay? So yes, what we are going to do is, now my first priority is, I'm not talking about any subnet, I am talking about what? Okay, let me just pick this eraser. I am talking about what? I am talking about this whole house, this complete house. That means what I want is, I want to give internet connection to the complete VPC. Complete VPC. Okay, that means I want to give internet connection to the complete VPC. That's what I want for now. It means my whole house would be, first of all, get an internet connection. Then inside my house, I will decide which room is gonna get the internet connection, which room is not going to get the internet connection. That means which subnet will get internet connection, which subnet is not going to get. But first, I have to give internet connection to my house at least. Okay, then I can decide. Okay, and automatically by default, all these rooms would be getting connections. Okay, once I give internet connection to my VPC, to my house. Okay, so yeah, here what I want to say is, I want to just specify here internet. Okay, internet, that's what I want to give. Okay, that's what I want to give to my VPC. So guys, for this, what you can do is, you can just search for internet gateway. Can just search for this. So you can see that in VPC you'll get internet gateway. Okay, so just search for this, you'll get this. So you can see that by default there is one internet gateway which is attached to my older VPC, which is by default available. Okay, this is a default VPC which I had talked about in the last videos. We don't need to talk about this. We need to create a fresh internet connection for which VPC? The VPC which we created yesterday. That means your VPC. And here you can see we created a VPC yesterday, right? GFG VPC1. We are going to give this VPC, virtual private cloud, that means this house, an internet connection. This is our house. I want to give this house an internet connection. So I'll just go to internet gateways. Okay, create internet gateway. And here I'm just gonna say that GFG VPC IGW. Okay, something like that. GFG VPC. Let me just check the names. Okay, let me just search for VPC, and I'll just double check the names so that there is no confusion. So this is the VPC, GFG VPC1, right? For this VPC, I want to create internet connection, so I'm just gonna say GFG VPC1 IGW. Okay, internet gateway. That's it. Okay, so I'm naming it like this so that I know that this internet gateway is for that specific VPC. Okay, this is the VPC and I'm creating internet connection for that VPC. Okay, so let's come back here. Okay, so now you can just give the name also if you want. Like, yeah, I have given the name. Now I'll just click on create internet gateway. Now you can see that I have created the internet connection. Perfect. You can see that an internet connection has been created. Now I'll simply click on actions, attach to VPC. Now I'm going to attach this internet connection, this wire, to my house. Okay, to my house. Okay, I'm installing this internet to my house. Okay, so I'll just select the VPC which I want, the house which I want. Okay, and then I'll just say that my internet wire will be passed to this house, will be sent to this house, internet would be connected to this house. That's it. Okay, so you can just check more things, but yeah, leave it as it is and attach internet gateway. Once you do this, let's try again. Okay, so let me just go to my VPC. You can see that this is the VPC. Let me just reload this one. This is the VPC, right? You can just come below and like, I think you would get some of the things here. Integrations and different kind of things are available here. What I want is, you can see, yes, you can see that network connected. You can see GFG VPC1 IGW. That means to this VPC my internet gateway is connected, right? You can see that it's connected. Let's try things again. Let's try. Now what I said is, you can see that now my house got internet connection. That means now my house has the internet connection. My VPC has the internet connection. My EC2 instance INST4 is suppose available inside this subnet. Okay, available inside this subnet. If my house has the internet connection, That means my subnet must also have the internet connection, right? Let's check. Let's check. Will the subnet, that is, will the house work or not? Will the room have internet connection or not? That means will the instance have internet connection or not? Let's check that. Okay, so for that, guys, I'm simply going to first of all go to subnets. Okay, and you know that inst4 is in sn1, subnet 1, right? We created these subnets in the last video. I hope everyone knows this. You can just see that if I just go below, and I think you would get some option. uh, okay, anyways, yeah, you know that the IGW is connected to this one. Okay, IGW is connected to this one. I think there is some detail somewhere mentioned. I'll just find that later on. But right now, I know that my internet gateway is connected to the VPC, and that VPC had two subnets, SN1 and SN2, which we created yesterday, right? If I go to internet gateway, let's check it here. Okay, so VPC ID. Okay, anyways, what we're gonna do is, okay, let's go inside this one, and anyways, okay, we know that this internet gateway is connected to my VPC. My VPC has two subnets, SN1 and SN2, right? You can see that SN1 and SN2. I know that SN1 has an EC2 instance, so I'll just go to EC2. I am talking about INST4. This INST4 is connected to which? SN1, right? SN1. If you go to networking, you know that this is connected to SN1. That means SN1 has this instance. That means if SN1 has internet, that means now my EC2 instance must work. Okay, let's check. Okay, let's check. So if I go inside the management console, if I try to connect, let's see. So guys, again you can see that it's struggling to connect. It didn't connect. The internet didn't connect. Why? You have the internet, but you have to say that allowed access. Okay, you have to give allow the access of internet. Okay, you have connected your internet wire to your computer, but you have to install some firewalls. You have to give some rules, right? Your computer must have some rules. Okay, ऐसे तो नहीं चलेगा. You have connected the internet wire to your computer, but in your computer you have to write the rules, right? You have to write the rules. So for that, your computer is like the subnet. Okay, subnet is containing the inst4 instance number 4, right? So let's go to the subnet. Okay, the complete house has the internet. This subnet also has the internet, but I want to write rules inside this subnet. Okay, each individual of the subnets. Okay, so in this subnet I would have to create a route table also. Okay, in any of the subnets, or I can create it at once also. Let's create a route table. Okay, so I'll just search for route table. If I just search for route table, you can see that here basically we got route table. Okay, you can see that this is the route table for which the VPC which we are working on. Automatically a route table is created. So I'll just go inside this one, and in route tables we simply decide that for which IP address what things must be done. Okay, that's what we are going to do. Okay, so you can see that okay, I'm just gonna go back here, route tables. Yeah, route table ID, this specific route table. You can see here you can just edit some rules. What kind of rules? You can see that right now I'm saying that if the IP address is of this format, things would be local. But if IP address is of some other format, then what to do? Then make things public, then allow access. Okay, if I give you example, you can just select this one, and here if I just go inside this one, you can see that this one has this default VPC which we get for free, has this rule, right? Has this rule. You can see that if the IP is of this format, okay, is of this format, then give them the internet connection, right? Similarly, for our specific route table, okay, for our specific route table which is connected to GFG VPC1, this is created automatically. This route table is created automatically, right? I didn't create it, it's all created automatically. Rule was also signed automatically, but this is does not having internet connection. So here we have to give internet connection. So edit routes, and here I'm just gonna say add route. I'm just gonna say that for this IP I'm just going to say that internet gateway. Okay, and here you can just mention the ID. Okay, so this is the internet gateway which we created today, right? I'm just going to select this one, And now if I click on save changes, you can see that now my route table has this rule that if there is any other connection, if I as a normal user is trying to connect with this instance number 4, then connection must be allowed. If there is some specific IP address, this type of IP address, user is having this type of IP address, then keep things local. Okay, that's the way. This can be any IP address. It can be my computer's IP address, your computer's IP address, anyone's IP address. Okay, this is for general work. But this IP address is of my VPC. Okay, it's of my VPC, virtual private cloud. That means my company's IP address range. Okay, this is my company's IP address range. This is of any random customer's IP address range. Okay, I hope you are getting things. Okay, so now let me just refresh it, and you can see again we have, okay, already we have this instance. Now let's try to refresh. You can see that, guys, now our instance number 4 has got the internet connection. Why? Because I have said that for any random user, like my computer, this specific PC which is running this AWS website is having a random IP address. Okay, I'm just gonna search for what's my IP. You can just search for this. IP address, I think yeah, you can see that this is my IP address. Okay, it's gonna change again and again, but you can see that this is separate type of IP address. Okay, this is separate type of IP address which does not come in the VPC range. If this IP address was in the VPC range, then I would be like inner part of the company. But this IP address is general purpose. Okay, general public IP address. Okay, I'm a general customer, acting as a general customer. So in that case, I can just have internet connection, just basic interaction between the EC2 instance, right? That's what I did. So now EC2 instance has internet connection. It's having a route table, and in the route table we have some kind of rules that if the IP address is this to this, then don't share data outside, keep things locally. Okay, if IP address is something like this, which is does not match into the like into this range, let me just show you which range. You can see this is the IP address which is of our VPC, and this is my IP address. You can see the range doesn't matches. Okay, range doesn't match. If you are still confused what's this /16, this /16 is like IP address of first 16 bits must be starting with this. If they start with this 192.168, then they would be considered as local IP. Okay, as local IP. If there is of any other format, then they would be considered as general customer. So you can see any other format, that means I'm a general customer. Okay, so I would have basic internet access. That's what I got. Now here I can just do things. I can just type sudo flag I. Okay, and you can just say that apt get update. You can see that perfect. My EC2 instance is connected to internet. Perfect. Now guys, after this, what else you can do is you can decide which subnet, which room of your house is gonna get electricity, which room of your house does not get electricity. That means which room of your house is gonna get internet connection, which room of your house does not going to get internet connection. How you can do that? So you know that you have this subnet. Okay, you have these subnets, and let me just say that we actually call this as private and public subnet. The subnet which has internet is public subnet. The subnet which does not have internet is known as private subnet. So if I say something as public subnet, that means it has internet connection. That means any hacker also can visit that subnet and just do some kind of hacking or just make infinite requests, something like that. That means into the public subnet, you must never store sensitive data, or you must never store your backend, you must never store your database. You must always store things where there is no internet connection. Okay, you're gonna say that into it's like suppose you are very rich. Okay, you are very rich, you have a big house and you have lots of gold in your house. So you're gonna store that gold into very safe place, right? Into very safest room of your house, right? So you're gonna say that I'm going to store my gold into that room where robbers can't reach easily. Okay, that means suppose this specific room 1C does not have the internet connection. That means this is going to be the safest room for me. I'm going to store my EC2 instance, my backend, and my database. These two, which are going to be logged into this room. And I would say that this specific room, suppose this specific room, room number 1, has internet connection. So here I'm not going to store my sensitive information. Here I'm going to create my proxy server, which I'm going to discuss in the next video. In this specific room, I'm going to store my proxy server. If any hacker is trying to attack things, he would be reaching here, and then we can actually block him with security rules. Okay, very easy. He won't get direct access of our database. He won't get direct access of our backend, because our backend is in this subnet number, room number 3, and hacker is trying to attack room number 1. I hope you're getting it. That means he is not able to steal the data because he is trying to steal wrong room, right? The room is wrong. Now for general public, how things would happen. Suppose you are a good guy, obviously you would be interacting with room number 1. If your backend is running in room number 3, your database is running in room number 3, then how this person coming from here, okay, can reach this room number 3? How can this happen? So we actually create a proxy server here in room number 1, and we would redirect requests from here to here, okay, without telling this person, okay, this person won't know where the request is moving forward. Okay, so only the interaction between room number 1 and room number 3 would happen. That means this would be like, you can see that this was the private IP range, right? This was the IP range, sorry, this is the IP range, this was the IP range of the subnets. That means only these two IPs can communicate. That means if hacker does not have this type of IP, he cannot hack this. Okay, obviously hacker won't be having this IP, hacker would be having some IP like this, okay, having some IP like this, right? Okay, so room number 1 would be having some kind of IP like this, room number 3 would be having some kind of IP like this. So if they are having some kind of IP, so they can have local communication. Okay, they would be having local communication. That means room number 1 would be sending request to room number 3, room number 3 would be sending response to room number 1, and then room number 1 would be sending response to the customer. That's it. Okay, so sorry for my handwriting, but I hope you got the idea, right? I hope you got the idea. So now guys, what we're going to do is we are going to mimic the same thing. Okay, we are going to mimic the same thing. So just wait for a few seconds. Let me just have water, then we can continue. Okay, so first of all guys, for this I want to cut internet in some subnets. I would provide internet in some subnets. Which subnet would be having internet? Guys, this subnet is going to have internet, and this subnet is not going to have internet. This is going to be my safest room, and this is going to be my proxy server. So how can we do that? So let's go to our subnet. So we are going to go to our subnets. Okay, subnets, you can see subnet 1 and subnet 2. I guess, yeah, these are the subnets only. You can just check the range. Yeah, you can see that these two are the subnets. Okay, I would say that suppose my SN1 subnet 1 is going to be my private subnet. Okay, it's going to be suppose my private subnet. Or let's do one thing guys, let's do one thing. Okay, I'm just gonna say that I'll just delete the instances. Okay, I'll just create fresh instances. Okay, so I'm just gonna delete those instances. I don't need these instances. I'm gonna terminate all the instances. Okay, terminate. I'll create fresh instances so that it's easy for you all. Okay, so you can see I've terminated all the instances, and now they are shutting down. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now there are no running instances. Let's create two instances. We have two subnets, SN1 and SN2, right? So we need two instances. So we are gonna say that launch instance. Okay, here we're gonna say that inst1. Okay, inst1 would be for what? SN1, subnet 1. Okay, so I'll just say Ubuntu, and key pair, let's pick this key pair as my key 123. Okay, and I'm just gonna say allow HTTPS, and then okay, one more thing guys, I'll just go to network settings, edit, okay, and here you need to select the VPC. So I'm gonna select my VPC which I created, GFG VPC1, right? And here you have to select the subnet. So I'll just say SN1, okay. SN1 would be allotted to INST1, okay, INST1, right? And after this, I think everything is fine. We can just continue. Perfect. Okay, so launch instance. And similarly guys, I'm gonna create another instance. Let's name it as inst2, okay, inst2, and ubuntu, right? And then I'm just gonna select the key pair, my key 123, or you can select a different key pair also, that's also fine, okay. I would suggest that you can select other key pair, different key pair for this one, okay, because different subnets, if they have different key pairs, that would be fine, okay. Different instances are in different subnets, so they would be having different key pairs, that would also be great, okay. So you can see that this specific instance, I'm just gonna say that edit, and here I'm just gonna say it's for VPC, again same VPC but different subnet, okay, SN2, okay, this time SN2, right? And okay, I think I forgot to enable this one, last one. uh, Anyways, auto assigning IP, I'll just enable it from here, okay, for this case, okay. And then everything is fine. I think now we can continue, and I think I have to, perfect, okay. So now I'll just click on launch instance. Let's check it guys. So yeah, you can just watch my previous videos if you don't understand what's EC2 instance and basic stuff. It's very important, you must know these things, okay. So I think uh inst1 which we created just now, okay, and inst2 which we created just now, it's pending right now. Let's wait for these two, okay, let's wait for these two. So yeah, now I'll just show you running ones. So you can see that just now we created these two instances, right? So guys, you know that this specific instance inst1, if I go to networking, you can see it's connected to SN1, right? And this inst2 is connected to SN2, okay, SN2. If I uh, just go to networking, here you can see SN2, that means perfect. Let's try to check if it's running or not. If I just go to connect, and hopefully it must be connected to internet because everything is proper, IGW table, and yeah, you can see it's connected to internet, that's why it's working properly. That means it's fine. And you can see IP range is also this one, everything is fine, everything is fine, okay. So similarly, I'll just go to my instance number one, uh running instance number one. Let's check the IP. So you can see that yeah, IP range is also fine for this one, IP range is also fine for this one. You can see that IP range is 192.168, same for this one also, because they are in same VPC, right? So IP range is allocated. Now I'm gonna say that this is connected to SN2, right? inst2 is connected to SN2 and inst1 is connected to SN1, okay. Now guys, what we are going to do is we are going to say into our subnets we have created instances. We are going to say that is SN1 is connected to instance 1, SN2 is connected to instance 2. So we're going to say that this SN1, suppose let's make it a private subnet, okay, let's make it a private subnet. Now guys, how you can do that? So for making it a private subnet, I'm just gonna say, okay, let's name it something like SN1 is PVT, private, okay. And similarly for SN2, I'm just gonna say SN2 is PUBLIC, okay, so that we can remember things, okay. So I'm gonna say that SN1, I want to make this SN1 private. That means I want to cut off internet connection from this SN1. How you can do this? So for that guys, I'm just gonna create a route table, fresh route table. You know that this route table was public, okay. It's having public access also, it has complete internet access. Let me just name this as GFG VPC, okay, okay. So this is for public. Similarly, I'm gonna create one route table for private. So PRIVAT GFFG VPC RT, okay, RT, routing table. Okay, so VPC, I'll just select the VPC, and I think automatically the IP range would be allocated. Yeah, you can see that this does not have internet connection. That means this is private. Okay, by default all the route tables are private. Initial part of the video today we made this one public. Okay, we made this one public. Okay, sorry, we made this one public. How it's public? You can just go to this table, and here you can see that it's having internet connection. That means it's public. Okay, and the other routing table does not have the internet connection. That means it's private. Okay, I hope you got the difference. Now we're gonna say that this specific routing table is gonna be associated to some subnet. Okay, how you can do that? So what we are gonna do is we are gonna remove access. Okay, we're gonna remove access. Okay, how we can do it? So I'll just go to subnets directly. Okay, I'll just go to subnet directly. I want to make this subnet private. Okay, so you can just go to route table. Okay, and here I want to just simply click on edit associations, and from here I would simply select the private route table. That's it. So since I selected the private route table, that means this specific subnet would become private. That's it. Okay, so now this subnet is private. Okay, if I just go to route table, you can see that it's only having this much access. Okay, and if I talk about SN2 route table, you can see that it's having both connections. That means internet connection, local internet. That means it's public, right? Now we have the public subnet and private subnet. Okay, let's try to visit our EC2 instance again. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go to instances. You know that now INST1 is into private network. Okay, private network. That means is it must now not be having internet connections. Okay, it must now not be having internet connection. Yeah, you can manage the network settings later on. IPv4 address, we can do that later on. uh, okay, I think we have to do that. I'll just go to security, and I think here we need to simply add the rules. Let me just check one. Okay, so subnet 2, and if I go to the rules, okay, I'm sorry, I'll just go to EC2 instance, sorry, EC2 instance, and here we are going to, first of all, I think I made a mistake in INST1. I'll just go to the security and inbound rules. Let me just check, are they proper or not? So this is for instance number, okay, perfect. Yeah, this is for instance number 1. This is for instance number 1. These are the security groups for instance number 1. I actually missed out some things. Okay, again I'll just go to instance number 2, and network security rules, edit inbound rules. Yeah, here I didn't add any other rules, so I'll just copy paste these rules. So I'll just simply click on edit inbound rules, and from here SSH custom. Okay, so SSH custom HTTP full. Okay, so add rule, and HTTP. Okay, and I'm just gonna say anywhere IPv4, and similarly I'm gonna say HTTPS anywhere IPv4. Okay, fine. So now guys, if I click on save rules, and now I think it must work properly. So I'll just go to EC2 instance, and this was instance number 1, right? This was instance number 1. So I'll just open instance number 1 here. Okay, now let's try to connect instance number 1. I think it must be able to do this now. Yeah, this is instance number 2. If I go to security and inbound rules, perfect, security rules are perfect. Similarly, instance number 1, let's go to security and rules, can see that it also has the rules. Okay, this one also has the rules, and this one also has the rules. Okay, so now if I go to the instance back, all states need running instance. I think with no public IPv4 address you can't. I think I made one mistake while creating this one instance. Okay, let me just create this one again. Okay, I think I made one mistake. I forgot to just add one setting. Let me just add this again. Okay, just wait. So I have terminated instance number one. I'll again create instance number one. Okay, just wait. Yeah, it's shutting down. Let's create one instance. Let's name it as inst1. Okay, and same settings, and key pair would be my GFG key, my key 123. Okay, now I'll just simply give it https access, edit, and VPC would be GFG VPC SN1. Okay, private, and enable auto assign. This must be enabled. Okay, then I think everything is fine. Everything is fine. Okay, now there is no setting. Okay, perfect. So I'll just click on launch, and guys, you would see that now it would be launched. Okay, so let's wait for a few seconds, and then we would be having two instances, inst1 and inst2 running. Okay, so right now it's pending. Let's wait for a few seconds. Okay, okay guys, so now you can see that we have finally got the two instances running, inst1 and inst2. Perfect. Now guys, what we need to do is, if I go inside inst1, you can see this is inst1. If I click on connect, okay, if I click on connect, you can see that now it's able to connect. If I click on connect, you can see since this was private subnet, it was having private subnet, inst1 was having private subnet, you would see that it won't have internet connection. That means this would be our private room, room number 3. It does not have the internet connection, instance number 1. Similarly, we are gonna say that if I go to instance number 2, running one, if I go to instance number 2, you know that this was having public subnet. Since it has public subnet, so you would see that it has internet connection. It has internet connection. Instance number 2, you can see it has internet connection. That means instance number 1 does not have internet connection. Instance number 2 has internet connection. Now, why am I telling you this? So generally what happens, okay, let me just write the flow. Generally what happens, if you are building a network, so first of all, you would be having a proxy server like Nginx, Nginx, okay, Nginx, which does not contain your backend. It just is like a distributor. Okay, it's just like one IP address which distributes the request. This forwards things to your backend, okay, to your backend, okay, backend, and backend is also forwarding things to your database, right? That's what generally happens in a full stack application, right? So what we want is this part would be in public subnet, and this part would be in private subnet. That's what I want. That means I would just host my proxy in instance number 2. Instance number 2 is public, right? Instance number 2 is public, so I would be just passing it in public subnet. This part would be in public subnet, okay, this part would be in public subnet, and this part would be in private subnet, private subnet. Now this is the remaining part which we are going to talk about in the next video. This is the connection part which we are going to talk about the upcoming video. And today we have discovered that how to give internet connection, what's IGW, what's routing table basics, and then we also made our private and public subnets. And then in the next video what we're going to do is we are going to make communication between private and public subnets, because obviously if there is a customer, customer would be contacting this public subnet, then okay, I'm just gonna say that customer would be contacting this public subnet, then this public subnet would be communicating with this private subnet, okay, private subnet, which has our important things, then this private subnet would be giving response to our public subnet, okay, response back to our public subnet, then this public subnet would be giving the response back to the customer. That means customer doesn't know what your private subnet is having, okay, कमरे के अंदर क्या हो रहा है, प्राइवेट सबनेट को नहीं पता, सॉरी, कस्टमर को नहीं पता कि प्राइवेट सबनेट के अंदर क्या है, राइट? So that simply makes the connection. So in the next video, we're going to discuss how to connect private and public subnet, how to make communication between private and public subnet. Very important. The next video is going to be very important for security stuff, for networking stuff. Okay, right? So guys, I hope you understood today's video. A little bit difficult to understand because obviously subnet is something which is a very confusing topic, and that's why I'm taking 3-4 videos for VPC. Okay, so you can rewind the videos, you can watch my previous video of VPC to understand this example beautifully explained. You can watch that. You'll understand what is the house, what is the room example, house and room example. Then you'll understand the internet example which I gave you today, and then after that you'll understand what is public and what's private subnet. Why do we need it? Okay, so you will understand it, because private things would be like private. Backend and database are private stuff. We can't just display it to anyone. We can't directly connect our backend's IP address to your front end. That's some basic people, noob people do, which I always did. Okay, which I always did. But when you become a pro level of developer, what you're going to do is you're going to create a private subnet, you're going to create a public subnet, you're going to connect public subnet to private subnet. Both are in AWS. Then this public subnet is going to connect it to front end, which is in React.js or wherever you have your front end available. But this part, private subnet and public subnet, are very important. Okay, so in the next video we're going to make connection between these two. Very important. Okay, so I think we have it out how to work on real projects. So it's very easy. Like, I would always suggest that if you are starting with AWS directly, it would be really difficult for you, because I think when I started, my main goal was to just learn stuff. So what I did was I became a full stack developer first. I learned the complete one stack. Okay, then I built full stack application. I made a lot of projects. Okay, I made a lot of projects, e-commerce projects, basic projects also, e-commerce projects also, streaming platforms also. So I would say that first of all, you would make projects. You can just search on YouTube. There are a lot of projects. How can I make MERN stack Netflix? How can I make MERN stack Amazon? How can I make a Flipkart website in MERN stack? You can just search about these projects, but first learn the skills properly. Then after that, make projects. Okay, you can just search on YouTube. You will get a lot of examples. Then after copying those videos, after watching those videos, how they are coding, how they are professionals always code better, and they would give you always better experience. So I would say that first learn the skill. If you are going for MERN stack, go for MERN stack. Then after that, make good projects. Like, you can just search how can I make Amazon, how can I make Netflix in MERN stack. You'll get a ton of videos available on YouTube. After that, when it's the part of hosting, that means hosting your full stack application, then there we need to use AWS, okay, Amazon Web Services. And if in future, if you want to become a cloud engineer, then obviously you're gonna need AWS or any other thing, Azure or Google Cloud, right? You're gonna need some knowledge. So I would say you can go for AWS because I think it's the #1 service. But obviously Google is also better, Azure is always better in some other cases. Okay, so yeah, I would say that first become a good developer, something like a MERN stack developer. At least, yeah, you know that how websites work. After that, you would be able to understand cloud computing very easily, because you can see that today itself I talked about public subnet and private subnet. And if you are someone who knows what's a backend, what's a database, why we need to make things secure, because you are a full stack developer, so you would be easily catching up things, right? So that's why I would say become a good developer. First try to learn things, become a MERN stack developer, I would say. Okay, then you can make projects. Then for hosting those projects, learn basic AWS. Then after that, jump to this advanced part. That means networking part. What's a subnet? What's route table? What's IGW? That's also not too advanced. With time, you'll get things easily. But still, that's the way. Become a developer. Try to make projects. After that, when it's the hosting part, then learn AWS. Sorted. Okay, now in AWS there are a lot of things. You can learn Docker, you can go with machine learning part also. There are a lot of things to explore later on, but at least basic full stack application hosting, you must know this. Okay, you must know how to host a full stack application in AWS with all these skills which I talked about. And in the previous videos we also talked about tools which we have in AWS, right? It's the complete playlist which you can check out in GFG development channel. You'll find all the things, you will find all the videos of my AWS from scratch, S3 bucket, EC2 instance, VPC, and how to purchase a domain name and attach it to EC2 instance. We have talked about all these things in the previous videos. You can check out those. In terms of full stack development, I have kept these things in mind. Okay, I'm not promoting any kind of AWS certification. You can do your own certification. This whole playlist is for development purpose. Okay, it's for learning purpose, for development purpose, right? So that's what I would tell you. If you learn development, then after that you can watch this complete playlist and definitely you'll enjoy this. Okay, so guys, today's part is done. In the next part, same I made a React app. Initially I deployed in Vercel. After that I shifted to VPS hosting. Yeah, you can go with that, but actually you know that my full name is Harshal Jain. ठीक है, मैं बढ़िया आदमी हूँ. So what I did was, I want free stuff always. So Vercel is free, right? Vercel is free, and I think initially Hostinger was also free, but right now there are paid services. I think it's not free now. So what I did was, I created an AWS account. For 1 year AWS is free. So why not learn AWS properly? Why not use the proper all the services of AWS for free? If it's free for 1 year, तो problem क्या है? You can become a good cloud engineer also. You can know how I can host my full stack application here. So there are a lot of possibilities. That's why I would say that कुछ नहीं भी बनना ना, if you don't want to become a cloud engineer, if you don't want to see any kind of future, if you don't want to make any kind of future in this field, at least give few months in AWS, because it's free for 1 year, right? Just make a use of it. Okay, so it's like whenever you create an AWS account, I have created the playlist. There we have a specific video how to create a free AWS account, right? Client demand, that's why. Yeah, definitely some payment would be like, you have to pay less amount in Hostinger, I guess. So that's dependent on the client. So that's always great. Okay, that's your choice. But like for learning purpose, I would always suggest go for AWS. Everything would be covered. Everything would be covered, because other services like Hostinger or other services are good for freelance purpose. You would be making cost effective system for your client, but for learning purpose, for your own learning purpose, I would say learn AWS, because you would learn everything. You will get everything here. Or you can go for Google Cloud, or you can go for big service like Microsoft Azure also. Okay, you can learn these big services, right? I love the way you teach. Thanks, yeah, thanks. uh, Now guys, after this I am thinking like this playlist is about to end. 4-5 videos are remaining. After this I'm planning to teach you machine learning. Okay, so abhi thoda main planning bhi kar raha hu, and let's see what happens, because I'm not that confident right now. After 1 month or 2 months maybe we'll start with that. Okay, so in the next video we're gonna talk about this public and private subnet connection, so that any hacker can't hack our application front end and sorry, back end and database, right? They can't be hacked. We have to keep that in private, and public would be proxy. We are going to make connection between these two. Okay, so that's it for today guys. I hope you enjoyed this session, and in the next video we're going to do this. Okay, till then, have a good day. Bye bye. Don't forget to subscribe this channel, Geeks for Geeks Development. Okay, playlist is available. Okay, Docker deploy, please do it after that. I'll do basic Docker. Okay, I'll do basic Docker. I'm not that proficient in the Docker completely. Yeah, I just made a basic project previously, so I'll do the basic Docker part. Okay, I'll make a dedicated video on that. I'll make that. Okay, but yeah, basic Docker. I won't claim myself as a good developer, and I haven't done the Docker stuff anyway now. So yeah, I'll just make a basic deployment, how we can just create versioning in Docker and use it in AWS. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, thanks for the suggestion, and you can give more suggestion in the comment section. Okay, chalo, bye, milte hain, bye bye.